Alrighty, welcome to episode 5 of the TM GolfCast. My name is Tad Myers, and in this episode I interviewed Joshua Short. He is the first president of the PGM Student Society at California University to be re-elected. So this is his second term as the president, and I got to sit down with him. He is a second assistant at Longview Country Club in western Pennsylvania in the Pittsburgh area. And I got to sit down with him, talk about his past, talk about how he got started in the game of golf, and we also talked about where the game of golf needs to go. So this is my interview with Josh Short. Alrighty, this is episode 5 of the TM Golfcast. I'm with President Josh Short. How you doing today?
Doing well. How are you? Thanks for having me on the show. This is great.
How was your weekend?
That was good. Quiet.
That's always good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting some work done.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what you're doing now. What are you doing now in the golf industry?
Right now, so I'm studying professional golf management here at CalU. Been working the last 2 summers at Longview, basically as an intern, but taking on more of an assistant role.
Okay.
And looking forward to becoming, head golf professional on the green grass side of things.
Awesome. So let's kind of make like a revolving door. Let's talk about what you're doing now at Longview, and then start from how you started in the game, and then just circle back to now. I guess.
So what I'm doing now at Longview is basically taking on the role of an assistant. Right now, the way our structure is, we only have our head golf professional and 2 assistants. So kind of me coming in and filling that void that they needed is huge. So basically how our system works is our head golf professional oversees the entire everything. Our first assistant, Derek DeGitis, is basically on our merchandising side, takes care of all the shop inventory, the whole 9 yards, teaches lessons, all that. Our second assistant, Shane Mason, he kind of takes care of ladies golf, some of the Monday parties that we have, and then I kind of fill the void in the sense that I'm our tournament guy and our junior golf guy.
Oh, nice.
So I take care of all of our men's golf events. That includes, SWAT, Labor Day, July 4th, Memorial Day, men's club championship. And then I take care of all of our junior golf, so junior golf clinics, teaching juniors the game, and then some other few things in there as well.
That's nice. How did you start in the game? How did you get involved with the game of golf from the beginning?
That's so a lot of people traditionally, their parents grew up golfing, or grandparents. Actually, mine was my uncle. My mom's brother got me into the game from a young age. I started when I was in 3rd grade, kind of just picking up a club. I was with him one evening, and we went down to Robert Morris, their island sports dome that they have, and we just were putting around. I was putting with a mini putter, and I just kind of fell in love with it. He got me my first lessons, and everything just kind of built up from there. He had went through the apprenticeship program under John Aubrey at Aubrey's
nice.
Dubs Dread in Butler. He just did it as a kind of a hobby, and he kind of took me under his wing and kind of showed me everything, and that's kind of how I started in the game.
That's awesome. So, what was your first, what made you want to go into, I'm going to be a professional, or golf professional in the industry?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I played high school golf for my high school, and the head golf coach for me is a PGA professional at Ogilvy, Shane Rice. So he kind of introduced me, told me about CalU's program, and also told me he was an alumni of Coastal Carolina.
Oh, okay.
So he was kind of showing me different things. My uncle, same thing. And then I just started looking. Went online, looking around. Looked at a bunch of different schools: Penn State, Methodist, Coastal, Florida Gulf Coast, Ohio State, and then CalU, obviously.
What made you want to pick Cal?
So that's kind of funny. I came to CalU kind of on a last resort. My parents were, just go visit it, just go see it. If you don't like it, just go see it. It doesn't hurt. It's only an hour away from home. And so I came down here and fell in love with the program. Justin Brunner, our director, really shed some light on the fact that it is more of a one-on-one scenario. And I feel like that kind of drew me in as far as, okay, I can get some one-on-one time, maybe further my career, whereas if I went somewhere else, it kind of could have been, I would have been a number instead of a person. Okay. So that's kind of what drew me to CalU. and obviously being an hour away from home, I'm home, but I'm not home.
That's nice. Where exactly are you from?
So I'm from Green Tree, Pennsylvania, little borough outside the city, about 5 minutes outside the city. So yeah, I'm basically in Pittsburgh.
Now you're also the golf coach.
I am.
For your high school, right?
I'm the assistant golf coach back at my high school. I took that job on last year. It was my first year. This is my second season. Love it. It's fun working with high school kids because they're a different type of breed. And a lot of my players aren't just golf.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are baseball, basketball, football. So it's very interesting. I can take some of my teaching skills, and me have played football and baseball and basketball. I kind of can basically put them together and make it more user friendly for our players, which is fun.
Now you said you played football. Did you play that all in high school? All those different sports in high school?
So I kind of had a decision to make. I played football even before I played golf in third grade. Started golf in third grade. I played football, and I decided, my freshman year of high school, that I needed to pick one that I truly, truly liked. If I wanted to play the others, I could do it. Ended up playing golf and fell in love with it, so I dropped out of football after freshman year. And I was around baseball. A lot of my friends were baseball players. Basketball, not so much. But, yeah, so football was definitely something that I loved.
So you were in football. What made you choose golf?
So at the time, golf just started taking off a little bit for me. I started playing a lot better. I started falling in love with the game. It kind of is that, when you start shooting good numbers, you want to keep playing. That and the fact that football over the summer was taking up the majority of my time, and also I kind of realized that you could not play football until you're 95 or 100, whereas golf, I can play my entire life until I'm dead. And I think that kind of draw me to the game a little bit more is the fact that here's a game where I see 85-year-olds playing at high levels, and I also see 18-year-olds playing at high levels, and I think that's something that's big for me.
Absolutely, yeah. The game is you can play whenever.
Absolutely, like I said, it's more user friendly to everybody, and golf's a tough sport.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's less toll on your body.
Oh,
in the long
absolutely,
run.
absolutely.
Yeah. So what all different areas of the golf industry have you worked in so far?
So basically, I've worked in all green grass.
Okay.
And then if you want to consider me being a high school, it's really not green grass. It's more of the coaching side of things. But I started out as a caddy at Chartiers Country Club under Joe Klinchuk, and worked underneath him, John Barefoot, Dan Crowley, who's an alumni of the CalU program. Caddied there, and then they asked me to come on full time. So I just basically picked the range and cleaned golf clubs when I was in high school.
Nice.
And then when I came here to Cal, I got on the staff at Longview. Never looked back, really.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Longview was your first internship?
Yes.
Now you're back there again for your second.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Now, where are you thinking about going for the next one?
So my next one, it's really, really exciting. Didn't really know about this until, probably halfway through the summer. I had my eyes set on Oakmont originally.
Oh, wow.
And Oakmont being at Longview and Oakmont, they're right next to each other, so a really good relationship. So I decided, after the Oakmont, I didn't really want to go there. We had somebody go there before. I kind of like breaking down some barriers that CalU has had a problem getting into. Didn't know my head golf professional, Steve Antonucci, was really good friends with Brendan Walsh, who's the head golf professional at the Country Club in Massachusetts. So that's where I am aspiring to be next summer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what are you going to be taking on? What role are you going to be taking on there?
So I had my first interview with them. Went very, very well. So it's going to be under an internship capacity. They really liked the fact that I had some good tournament ops experience, some inside work. So it's kind of the infancy stage with them, as far as I'm going up in November to tour the place, see the place, kind of my final interview process, and see kind of what is in store for next summer. So it's kind of a mystery at this point.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, also, you are the first president of the PGM Student Society that is returning. You've been reelected.
Yeah.
How is that?
That, to be honest with you, I don't know how anybody would have reelected me after last year, but I feel like when I came in freshman year, I had a goal in mind, and that was, when I heard about our student society, it was to be president of the society. And so I put myself out there any way I could to to hopefully become president. And then the opportunity, came to me sophomore year. I had some people say, hey, maybe you should run. I ran, I got it, and so that kind of just led into the fact of maybe running again this year. And there were doubts. I didn't really, honestly, or necessarily want to run this year.
Really?
I think sometimes you can have too much of something, and I
Okay.
think putting some new ideas in there and some new steps and some new ideas, I think always helps. But in the same token to that, I think also having that same person that knows what's going on, it can almost make for a flawless year. So that's kind of what drove me to run again. But yeah, I was definitely up in the air this year of running. So, but it is an honor, and take it in stride.
So what are you doing differently this semester or this school year than you did last year?
So last year, we did a lot of communicating as far as the executive board as a whole, but nothing really ever got done. And I think that was me having a lot more friends on the e-board. And I think when you have friends on the e-board, you have to, and this is just in general in life. When you're a head golf professional and you hire your best friend to be your assistant, you have to, when you walk in the door, you have to separate friend and people that are working for you and working to help you get to a different spot or different goal. So I think last year I had a lot of friends on the e-board. I was kind of tentative to say, hey, let's get this done. And this year, I think because of my demise last year, I put everything at the door and said, listen, this has to get done. So this year we're doing a lot more of, getting stuff done, and then communicating on the back end to help that flourish.
Now, how is the Tee It Up for Tots program coming along? That's a tournament we have in the spring, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So Tee It Up for Tots is our annual fundraiser that we host that benefits the Children's Institute of Pittsburgh. So it's really just kind of a way for the students to build a golf tournament from scratch, sponsorships, players, all the way up to tee prizes, raffle prizes, and even calling the golf course to make sure we have a place to host the event. Tee It Up for Tots traditionally has been started in December, January, and our tournament is in April. This year we're actually starting it. We're going to launch it in November.
Oh wow! Okay.
And hopefully have a solid foundation by the time we get our students to go out for winter break. So this gives our students, kind of the chance for 6 weeks to go out and basically market the entire event to people back home.
Okay.
And get more players, more sponsors in to basically grow the event. And then I have visions that would be long after I'm gone to see this event become, at least state known. That
nice.
we are dumping a lot of money into this, and we're getting a lot of money out of it to benefit such a very good cause in the Children's Institute of Pittsburgh.
Absolutely, that's awesome. Now, what is one thing you'd like to see change? Switching gears a little bit.
Yeah.
What is one thing you'd like to see change in the golf industry?
I think this is something that I've noticed, at least, coaching my high school kids. And I think that the older generation is less welcoming of juniors and young people into the golf industry. I see it all the time. You go to a lot of these public golf courses, and it's not a knock on public golf because I grew up playing public golf, and I know this firsthand, is that, we have, some of the older generation, if, we have juniors walking in front of them, we have people hitting into them, we have people, yelling at them, and that immediately is them being turned off to the game. They're going to remember some, 70-year-old guy screaming at them saying, hey, you shouldn't be out here. And to me, that's not what the industry needs to be. That and making it more fun. Making it more fun for everything. I think the biggest thing that we've seen recently in the golf industry is Topgolf.
Yeah.
Topgolf is doing what I think nobody else can do right now, and that is making golf fun for everybody. There are countless times where a lot of my friends who have nothing to do with golf, they're studying business or engineering or whatever, and they're sending me pictures, videos of them at Topgolf, and they are awful. They're awful. Their swing looks bad, but they're getting them into these targets. They're they're having fun at it, and I think that's where golf needs to go. Is more of it needs to have the traditional side. Golf will never leave, in my mind, the traditional side of the industry where you have people playing golf on golf courses. I think that's going to stay firm, and that's the golf side that I really lend myself to.
Yeah.
But I think golf needs to start going in a more fun direction for everybody if we want to see any increase.
Now, speaking of the fun side, what is the funniest or craziest thing you've seen on the golf course, or while working at a place?
So, wow. While working at a place, I think when you work in any side of the golf industry, you see all kind of things. I think on the green grass, as far as being on in the golf shop, I think you see a lot. To me, there's nothing more crazy than walking in and to the golf shop. You don't know what you're getting yourself into day in and day out. I had a homeless man come up. So Longview, it's in Penn Hills, not a decent area. We stick out like a sore thumb, but we have a long driveway that comes into the thing. This thing is at least 3 or 4 football fields long.
Oh wow!
To get in to the place, and I had a homeless man walk all the way up the driveway, walk into the pro shop, and proceed to ask me for $5 to get on a bus to go to a homeless shelter. So I proceeded to give him $5, out of the goodness of my heart. And next thing you know, I got a call from somebody that was in the golf outing that day. Hey, we have a guy down here. He is asking people for money. Well, we ended up getting $2 off a very dear friend of Longview, very dear friend of you, Josh Thompson, the Callaway rep for the area. He got $2 off of him, and then we proceeded to have to call the police after that. And so he basically went to jail with $7 when he gets out, and hopefully, he actually now has a home now. But yeah, that was probably one of the craziest things I've ever had to deal with. And he was definitely, unfortunately, he was under the influence of something. That was definitely crazy. It had nothing to do with a member or anything. And I've seen a lot of crazy things with members, but that was something that I've never seen before.
Usually you hear of a golf cart going into the lake or getting wrecked or something happening with alcohol, but that's a different story.
Yeah,
man.
it's definitely it's something that was interesting to say the least.
How many years ago was this?
This was this summer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is recent. Yeah, this
wow.
This is recent.
Golly, Ned.
Yeah.
Well, I guess getting back to more serious topics, what is one thing that you were doing differently to separate yourself from the rest of the PGM programs as a whole? So, like, a lot of the stereotype is when you go to a PGM program, no matter what school, you're going to go and you're trying to be a head golf professional in the end. What is the one thing that you're doing to separate yourself?
And it's funny you say that. I hear a lot of people say specialize yourself. In my world, I totally agree with that 100%. And it's ironic because I'm going into something that when you come into the PGM program, it's geared to be a head golf professional, and that's exactly what I'm doing. How I'm differentiating myself is I am putting myself out there, and I think this goes into being a president, putting yourself into leadership opportunities. I think that to be a good leader, you have to be able to move the masses, and being able to push the needle in the sense that you're going to bring something to the table that nobody else has. I think something that I have that people don't have is my ability. I can make a conversation, or I can talk to anybody about anything, and whether I know it or not. And some examples of that, I was down in Charlotte over the summer playing a couple of great golf courses, and I was at a Charlotte Knights, which is a AAA baseball game.
Okay.
And a gentleman sat down next to me and basically just asked me where I was from. I could have ended the conversation there. Instead, I think we talked the entire game.
Oh, wow.
Never knew the guy, had no idea. I now know probably his whole life story, and he's about 30 years older than I am. I'm 21, and he is probably 51 or even 60. And I think if you want to make it in the green grass side of things, your ability to talk to people and basically set that precedent, especially when you're a head golf professional with members that, hey, listen, this needs to be a joint effort, and it cannot be coming from just me. It cannot be coming from just the members. It has to be together, coming together, and making a cohesive decision. So I think the way that I'm differentiating myself is that, I'm doing a lot of things, with Longview as far as, I basically ran all the tournaments. I did a lot of when I was a freshman, and being able to talk to members and basically being able to talk to anybody is kind of what I think is differentiating myself.
Okay, yeah, that's really good stuff. Now, something a little bit similar. What is one thing that you would like to see What is one thing that you have already done that you'd like to see other golf professionals do, or what is something that you've done that they could implement at their club?
So I think something that I've done at Longview, as far as our tournaments are concerned, is basically being firm with the members in the sense that there is a deadline that needs to be met. For ours, we had our SWAT events. Not every weekend, but there were a few out the summer. You had a deadline to meet at 5 p.m. to sign up. It's kind of tough for us because they are paying members, and when you put up a tournament in the software and you do all the pairings, you do all the scorecards, and then somebody calls and wants to add, it is very hard for me to say, yeah, you need to, yeah, great, we'll take care of you. But I think that's something that I've done very well, at the fact that yes, we'll take care of you. And I think a lot of pros are doing that. A lot of people are doing that. But at the same time, a lot of pros are setting up, a standard that they want to see the members be set by. I think this goes back to this. I think that a cohesive unit, as far as members' needs and wants and the pros' needs and wants, need to be laid out before this, before it gets out of hand from one side or the other. At Longview, we have a little bit of a problem where we have guys that'll show up the day of.
Oh, wow.
And they'll be like, throw me into the event. And at some point, I think it needs to be said, like, we have no room for you. And that's really, it's really tough, for a head golf professional, say, to a paying member that is paying a lot of money to be there. And I think that is something I'd like to see, the golf industry have a little more, golf pros have a little more teeth, and set a precedent as far as, hey, this is what I want to see from you guys, and then you guys need to tell me what you want to see out of us. And it all goes back to, if the members say, listen, if somebody comes the day of and they want to play, you need to let them play. At some point, maybe that's a losing battle, and you take your licks and you move on. So I'd like to see that. And then going to where I talked earlier, as far as golf being fun, I see far too not, head golf professionals, assistant golf professionals say, we're just going to let the intern do junior golf. Well, your intern could be a freshman, and I was in that spot. He may not know a lick about golf, or if he does, he may not know a lick about junior golf or teaching golf. I think the head golf professional and the assistant golf professionals, and I think they need to be more involved in juniors. The only way that we're going to grow this game is getting kids that are under 10 to love the game, like I did when I was that age. That's how you get kids hooked, and that's how you get them playing, a lifetime, and that means job security for the rest of us.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I'd like to see. People do.
That's really good. Now, on a closing note, what is one thing that, or what is some advice you would give to current PGM students who are in the industry or wanting to come up through the program?
Best advice is put yourself, and I think some people said this very well, is be comfortable being uncomfortable. I don't really. That's just, I stumbled over those words right then and there. I like to be able to throw myself in any situation and see if I can sink or swim. And this goes back to what I've done over the last 2 summers. I knew nothing about tournaments, how to set them up, our software, POS systems, I knew I threw myself and the people at Longview threw me into the fire to see if I was going to come out alive. And I think just throwing yourself into situations that you may feel uncomfortable with is something that is going to help you grow in the end and make yourself become a better head golf professional, assistant golf professional, teaching instructor, club repair, like you're going towards that side, rep. Anything you want to do in the golf industry, you have to be able to put yourself out there and make yourself known to people and make sure they take notice of what you're doing. And I think that's the biggest advice, is just throw yourself into situations that are uncomfortable.
Okay. That's really good advice. Thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to you guys next time. That was my interview with Josh Short. Tune in next time for another great interview. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys next time.